Hello everybody, and welcome to what's going to be a reboot of my China versus Ethiopia series. You might be thinking, I've got some splaining to do, and you're right, I do, and I will. I just wanted to take a quick moment to point out that I will be kind of blitzing through the gameplay decisions here, because my goal here is to recreate the Open as true as possible. I'm not trying to get a do-over. I'm not trying to exploit my limited knowledge of the map. I'm going to try and make every decision as uh, true to the original series as possible, with two key differences. And while we're playing the game out, I'd like to talk about those so that I can help explain, why I would do this. Basically, I post these videos for entertainment and instructional purposes. Now, I don't just mean helping others learn from me, because I'm by no means an expert. I'm kind of passionate. People have told me they like the way I explain things, sound of my voice, stuff like that. But also to facilitate other people helping me. And that's why I'm always thanking you guys for the support and the feedback, because you guys are very active. These videos get a lot of likes, a lot of feedback, and I really appreciate all of that. But I got some feedback from a guy named Benjamin, and he offered two tidbits, the first of which was something that I already knew but had kind of forgotten, as evidenced by my play in the first part. And so I was like, okay, thank you. That's something I'll keep in mind for the future. But the other thing he said flew in the face of everything I understood about liberty, or thought I understood about liberty. And the more I thought about it, not only do I think he was right, but I was just so floored by the realization that I couldn't wait to try it out. And I figured, okay, we're right at the start of this series. If it's a domination game, it's going to be, I don't even know how many turns, but my point is that, what did that ruin offer? That was the Liberty one, right? Yeah, okay. We had only played, the smallest portion of the game, so to start over now and try these out while everything's, fresh in our minds as far as how things played out, we would actually be able to have an apples to apples comparison. So I really wanted to do this so that I could see. Because my thought process was always, when you're doing the Liberty tree, to go for the worker first. In fact, this is part of the reason why I thought the France series seemed so slow to me. It was because I had not gone that way. Because my thought process was, if you have the worker and he works quickly, like you're going to be dropping lots of cities, they can improve the tiles rapidly, and that way all the tiles that you're working are going to be that much better. And explain like that, I don't disagree. Like, I think there's some merit to that. However, what Benjamin was suggesting was going down the left side of the tree. And the way he made the case for it was, I found to be very convincing. So much so that, like I said, I couldn't wait to try it out. What he had pointed out was that, and obviously I already knew these things, I just, didn't consider them in this light. Basically, when you're building a settler, the city automatically stagnates, right? You're not contributing to growth. In fact, the food that you are raking in is loosely translating into hammers for the settler. So when you go to build your settler, your second settler, your fifth settler, like, this is downtime for the city's growth. You want to minimize that downtime so that the capital can grow. The more citizens you have, the more tiles you work, the more effective it'll be at growing and producing things. See, like right here, this is the first major divergence. And the funny thing is that by choosing this policy, we get a hammer in every city, right? So already that hammer that I was using as justification for getting the worker out, we have right now. Like, if I put the worker out right now, he would put a turn in on this farm and then have to work 5 turns here, and then I'll finally get that hammer. And it's not just a hammer, it's also a boost to building, which, you think of things like granary, paper maker. I mean, we'll be able to reap the benefits from that right away. But more importantly, getting back to what I was talking about, is that since you do play wide, you're going to be building a lot of settlers. You want to minimize that downtime as much as possible. So going for the settler policy first allows your capital to grow more, which means more early game science. And in our current configuration, I mean trapping, uh, masonry, calendar, like we need a lot of tax, right? So um, having that extra science early can, because that's all this game is, right? You take a little advantage, turn it into a bigger one, take another advantage, turn it into a bigger one. Like right here, obviously the worker came out one turn sooner because of the hammer that we had. Even if I was to hard build a settler, I wouldn't do it right this turn. I'd wait one turn. But let's build a scout simply because we did lose our scout to the upgrade ruin, and he's coming back for military purposes. But also because we do need to get out there and meet more people, so we have trade partners. We're going to have duplicates of sugar, meet city-states to get the money, find some quests, fill them so we get extra stuff too. Like, scouting is pretty important. And my reason for holding back on scouting in the first run was just that we knew we were going to be going to war. But this is the ancient era. Like, the wars aren't that penalizing, and we had already started the wars before we would have met people. Um, so anyways, getting back to what I was saying, I think that if we go the policy route to the settler, because, I mean, look, we're going to have the policy settler even before we could hard build one, right? So not only is our first settle going to come quicker, but every subsequent settler, let's see, come down here for visibility. We're just not going to have as much downtime in the capital, and that extra growth means earlier science, which means if we're not building the settler, we can be building things like a granary, paper maker, going towards science. And that early science is going to get us to places sooner, and we'll be able to leverage that advantage to other things sooner. So, oh, you know what? Hang on. I'm pretty sure before I went here and then came straight over. So let's see here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay. Well, it's going to take me 2 turns and 3 turns to get here. So I'm going to move 1 tile and wait, because this puts us still within 10 tile radius. And if I'm not mistaken, as we were healing, we were able to tribute. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't trying to change the path of the opener. I just wanted to make those 2 changes as far as the policy choice and a settle decision, which will be coming up shortly. Alright, scout's finished. So I will be able to build a granary, and then once I'm done, I'll be able to build a paper maker. So, because we're focusing on not having that downtime, the city's going to be able to grow more. We'll have more science earlier. Just everything's going to work out together. And that's kind of the point. This is the reason I really wanted to test whether to do settler first or worker first. Because as I thought about it, I think he's right. Oh, look at this. Panama City is ripe for tribute. So let's do that before we miss out. It's a good thing I noticed that. Let's see here. So, yeah, northeast to kind of pick up where the scout left off. He saw all this and came up on the hill, and then we saw, yeah, okay, it's coming back to me. And this is kind of the reason why I wanted to, when that feedback was given to me now, I wanted to do this now, is because it's all kind of still fresh in our minds, right? So this should be a relative apples to apples comparison from the original game, with obviously the 2 key differences. And it will be a little different in that I've replaced the scout right away, but that's only because we're not hard building a settler. We had that quote-unquote luxury, and this is what really enthralled me about what he was saying as far as going for the policy settler first, is that right now lost my train of thought there, focusing on all of this. Yeah, right now the capital can build other things rather than the settler, and it's growing while it does that, right? So like by the time we put out the granary, and then the paper maker will be at 4 pop, Right, and here's the other thing too. Like, look at this. The settler's actually coming out before we could have hard built one. So, yeah, we actually are going to have the settler earlier now. The capital's doing better stuff in the meantime, and then once we are set up to build another settler, the downtime will be minimized. I mean, already I'm seeing this is kind of a big difference, even though it seems like such a little decision. Yep, it's time to go to war, just like before. Yep, and we were able to shoot this guy. Okay. What was I going to say? The other mistake I think I might have made last game, and this has nothing to do with Benjamin's... I'm going to come up here just because I don't plan on settling here. I plan on settling on the Truffles. Now, I'm not averse to settling on luxuries anyways. Like, I already knew that that was an option. And we can go into that a little bit here. Because the thing you got to keep in mind is if you settle on a luxury, you will get that luxury if you have the tech. So it's a way of expediting, you know, getting a luxury. However, we'll never get any benefits of a camp that a camp would bring on this tile. So we're not going to get the extra gold. Later on, there's techs that enhance, you know, the camp tile improvement. We're not going to get that. So when you make the decision to do such a thing, you got to keep in mind that it's not free. There's going to be some trade-off there. Okay. Now, in this particular case, the reason why I wanted to do it in this city, and the reason why I think Benjamin was right to point it out in these circumstances, is that this is a gold yielding tile, right? So we're going to get that gold right now and every turn for the rest of the game, right? We don't have to take the time to develop this tile. We don't ever have to dedicate a citizen to working this tile. And as far as the tiles around it, like, this wasn't a great settle anyways because the lack of fresh water, right? I mean, we had the buffalo, we had the deer tile, so that's great. And we're still going to get a deer tile, right? Like, that's the first thing we're going to get. In fact, our borders might grow to encompass the second one, which, you know, here it might have grown to encompass the second one anyways. But the main takeaway is that the gold yield, right? Because if we're going to be going to war and stuff, yeah, trapping. As soon as trapping is researched, which, by the way, is going to get researched quicker because we got a granary here now, so we're going to grow sooner. Writing just got finished, so we can start the paper maker. And the reason why I'm starting a paper maker and not a settler is because look at our happiness, right? Our happiness is not going to be good for a little bit. So, because we got to get trapping, and that'll give us the happiness here. We got to get calendar after that, and we got to actually develop this tile. So our happiness isn't such to support and expand right now, but it's not that big of a deal because not only did this expand come so much sooner, but because we weren't building a settler here, not only is the city growing, we're 4-pop a hell of a lot sooner than we did in the original run, but we're using that downtime to granary, paper maker. That's going to boost our science big time. And the paper maker is going to boost our gold, and we're getting this gold right away. So I hope you can see how these little advantages are probably going to lead to a much stronger earlier, even though it seems like relatively, you know, innocuous decisions. And that's the point. That's what I wanted to test, the difference between going settler first and worker first. So, okay, and now is the point of divergence, because what do we do with our units? I mean, we'll probably still be able to pick up a worker here. So, okay. Since this border's here, I think I'm going to start doing the clockwise thing. Yeah, there's a pass-through. Okay, and there's the worker. So we're going to be developing the tiles later than before, but we were getting the hammer right away. We're going to have a fourth citizen right away. We're getting more food because we got the granary out earlier. That food's going to lead to more growth. We get the science, the paper maker is going to be able to multiply. I mean, it's just on and on and on, right? And that's kind of the point. Let's see, we need him to heal. As far as the worker goes, it's too soon for trapping. So maybe he comes over here and does the horses first, and then come back. Well, maybe it would be worth it to put a farm first, and then the horses, because we don't have anybody to sell the horses to anyways, and we want to keep the growth going. Well, after the paper maker, we might be ready to build a settler, because we do have a worker now. It's going to take time to get the spices online, but I think the overlap is going to be so minimal, because this is what I'm used to in Liberty. Like, you dip into unhappiness a little bit, and that's the challenge of expanding your empire to take up as much land as possible as early as possible without, number one, pissing your neighbors off from expanding quote unquote too quickly. Okay, let's keep growing. 11. Well, we are about to hit. Yeah, keep growing. The money would be nice, but once the forest is removed, this will be a 2 food tile, so that's something to keep in mind. Alright, so let's start heading back. And originally we headed this way just so the worker could cross the river, but we actually need the worker on this side of the river. And this worker's coming over here. So let's heal, heal. Pass through there. Okay, so he is actually asking for peace, and he's willing to pay for it. Let's pass for the moment, just because we do have his scout there, and if we kill that first, that might actually increase what he's willing to give us. So let's try to make the most out of that. In fact, for that reason, let's start having these guys head over. Let's see, he would be 1, 2, and if I move him now, 1, 2, and then of course 1, 2. So yeah, we can clamp him down if the archer starts moving right now, and that way we guarantee the kill. Okay, and I'm going to put a turn in on this pasture as we head towards this farm. How soon until we have our policy workers? It says 16 here, and obviously we're about to grow to 2 pop here, so that monument will be online a little sooner. Okay, and now we are into unhappiness, so I will work that tile, and we might as well work that tile. Get the gold in the meantime. That unhappiness is not going to last, though, because as soon as trapping is finished, we'll have 4 from here, and then we can go from there. So yeah, those tiles will just be worked that way for the time being. Yeah, we dealt with that already. Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to stay focused, because this is the part where we gotta kind of make decisions that are new. We'll go ahead and protect him. And let's see. Come up here and here. So I could come here. Well, actually, if the warrior's here, the zone of control would prevent him from leaving. So stepping and shooting would be better. And the spearman will here. So even if he moves here, I'll still be able to step and shoot. We'll be able to pursue while firing. So perhaps I didn't need to take that wide of an arc. Alright, this is where things get a little funky. Alright, so we got him with the mount, we've got him fully zone of control, so let's start shooting him, and that way we can ask for peace and maybe get a little bit more. Overall, he'll consider us to be a greater threat. In theory. Okay, we're just completing the, very nice. Very nice. You know, somebody had said that my second settle looked like Lake Victoria. I don't know how he saw that, because we didn't have it unveiled, but that actually puts us at neutral happiness, so let's go ahead and change our tile assignment. That worked out nicely. Good timing there. Okay, so yeah, settling here as opposed to here was an excellent decision. We'd probably have to buy our way into it just because the way the farms, or the way the governor chooses tiles, he would choose the deer first, obviously, and then he would choose flatland over desert or hill. So we'd have to buy our way into it, but that means this would be a great guild city. So let's see here. We'll probably be able to kill him with just the archer and the spearman. So if we stepped here with the archer, the warrior would come here, and these two can come up and deal with that camp. So let's do that. And there we go. Now, let's see what he has for us, or is willing to give us. What are you willing to give us? Okay. Now, anytime I'm in this situation, I tend to go for the money above everything else. So let's just ask for all of it and see what he has to say. Because we can always cut down from there. Might as well ask for an embassy too, right? Oh my gosh, he went for it. That's 9 gold per turn, plus a lump sum of almost 200. I'd have to look at the thumbnail for the original series, but I'm pretty sure that's significantly more. That's really great. In fact, the 9 gold per turn is such that maybe we don't even bother attacking him again, because one of the disadvantages of not having the city here is our visibility down here is just not so great. He'll be able to conduct his operations in greater secrecy. And because we got the settler sooner, and we're going to be building other settlers sooner, we're just going to have that much more land sooner, which is nice, but it also means that the personnel we have are not going to be able to keeping an eye out on the extremities as well. We're going to actually be probably tied up with actual attacking and such. Okay, so trapping's online now. That means we do have the happiness of the truffles that we've settled on. And just to show, there you can see we do have the truffles. So this is one of the advantages to settling on a luxury, but like I said, there are disadvantages. Missing out on a camp I don't think is so bad. Like missing out on a pasture though can be worse. You don't typically want to settle on horses, for example. So we have to go for calendar next, and it would be interesting to see the time it says that that's going to take compared to the time of where we were when we first researched it. It might actually be quicker just because we've grown sooner. We now have the paper maker out sooner. That's more gold, more science. I have to think that we're already doing way better. So as a goof, let's look at how long it would take to build a settler. It's saying 8 there, 7 there, and of course we're about to put a hammer here. This worker would put a hammer here. Probably not within the 7 turns. So it would take us 7 turns to build a settler. This guy's taking 5 more turns here, 6 to move here, 9 to chop it down, and then of course time to actually develop. So that's 13. And 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Settle on 12, and we'd be in happiness for 13. So I think we're good to go for a settler. The only problem that I have with this is that my spearman's kind of going to be tied up looking for another worker. Obviously he can come here and help anyways, and this military's coming off here, so we don't have the home military presence that I would like. But I really want to test this theory to the max. In fact, let me just take the settler off real quick and see. Yeah, 8 turns until growth. It'd be a little quicker because this farm's coming on 3. So maybe 7 turns till growth. In that time I could build a couple, but now that we know that Lake Victoria's here, I think that makes that a more expedited expand. There is a trade-off here that we need to be mindful of though, because if I'm building a settler now instead of say a couple more warriors waiting to grow to 5 pop, that's just less military overall. Like it might be a good idea to not come over here, except for the fact that I don't know how I missed Panama City asked for it too. And look, they're about to heal from our tribute. That's amazing. So yeah, with this camp being asked for by both of these, I think it's too important. In fact, by the time we clear the camp, we'll be getting food from here. So we want to be out of the stagnation from building a settler. So I do think even though it's going to stretch us just a little thin, and you know what, we have a scout in this area too, so if we need like a blocker to occupy tiles to help make sure that settler gets into place, you know, we do have a scout. Ugh, that's ugly. I hate having an exposed scout like that. Maybe he doesn't shoot us, I don't know. Can always hope. Alrighty, so he'll come up here, Archer come up here, and that way we'll step and shoot. Archer's warrior will get in position, maybe we flank and that's enough, or maybe he's got to take 2 shots at it. The main thing here is to free up the Archer to get him back home because he's so mobile. Your scout was, that sucks. Alright. Okay, so that's just the Archer, so yeah, we should have that camp cleared next turn, hopefully, and that will free our... Okay, so the fact that he's relaxed means he will not shoot again. He will armor up in the camp. But if we end up here, he can see us. Maybe this guy comes over here. We kind of want this guy to buzz off because we're trying to settle right here. So I think I'll... Okay, we can see there's no worker here. Let's step here. Next time we can step here, and unless... Well, even if that barbarian comes over, he won't be able to see us. Okay, that's a tough decision, but I think it's the right one. Okay, so once the city's back to growing, we'll have a good food tile to work as well. And now he'll be fully healed up, so we can come down here and look once the scout gets out of the way. Because obviously he's not going to send a worker there right now. Okay, doesn't look like there's a worker rating, but he does have an archer now, and that makes sense because there is a civilization actually at war. Kathmandu asks for a trade route. Okay, and he relaxed too, so we will definitely be able to clear this camp this turn because he's not defended, and we get the flanking bonus and the extra shot in. So bam, like that, we're raking in faith and food. The food right now is actually going to be, in fact, once we finish this tile improvement, I should have checked this out, 16.5, 15. Okay, this is still the better way to go, and it makes sense because it's hammer. Still got a hammer there. Like if the forest was done and it's 2 food and 2 gold versus 3 food, the extra food might actually be useful. 9 turns until we get our policy worker. So yeah, having this guy then come here and then do this, not a big deal. So you can see the fact that we didn't have a worker working on the city right away is not the end of the world, especially since the capital was falling behind, but we'll get there. We'll get there. The trade-off for not having the early worker, I think, has already paid for itself as far as the food and science and whatnot. Okay. So let's just, for the sake of completing our visibility, let's get eyeballs here. Alright, sugar is uncovered. So once we have masonry, that's another luxury. This will probably be what the policy worker does first thing. So that will work out, because that means we'll literally go from a small happiness deficit to a bit of an abundance. Okay, so these guys can start heading back, which is very comfortable because we have nobody on the homeland. And having this worker developing these tiles first instead of coming into the city is actually a bit of a godsend, because without, you know, any military at home to defend, get some visibility there, we wouldn't want workers dangling out. Okay, so that chopping of that woods will actually contribute to the next warrior spitting out pretty quick like, and that's pretty nice. We know his borders will eventually grow to encompass that, so I don't want to come here. Let's come here, and that way if there's no worker we can step here for the visibility and then step back. Okay, so he wants a trade route, and after we settle Lake Victoria, well, near Lake Victoria, Maybe we settle here first, because it would be settling on gold. We'd get the happiness right away. So it'd basically be like a free settle. Typically, I don't make settlers back to back just because people get upset if you drop cities too quick. I usually drop a settler, grow a little bit, you know, do some infrastructure, go from there. But settling here would be like a free settler. We'd literally be able to go settler, because this city pays for itself by settling on the ivory. And again, we would do that just because it is a gold producing tile. It would be interesting to see if I'd be able to build a circus right away, or if I'd actually have to settle this, because I don't know if the circus becomes available if you have a camp or if you just have the ivory or horses. Now over here we would still settle like right here. We're not going to settle on the sugar even though it's a gold producing tile. This is a little bit different because it's 2 food tile. So while the tile itself is kind of weak, it at least pays for its own citizen and maintains growth. And that's the reason why we settle on the camp and the ivory, because it's only 1 food tile. So committing a citizen there is not the best use of resources. Okay, looking good. And we are at the half-hour mark, but I'm not going to cut it off here. I think I'm going to take this segment to where the original series was, so that it is a proper reboot. I don't want to like screw you guys out of content just because I started over. Alright, gotta go masonry next to be able to clear this marsh for luxury. He's gonna start the chopping. Okay, now we can step over for visibility. We'll just kind of hang out there for the time being. It is time to start heading... Oh, there's border. It's time to start heading counterclockwise. This is a hill, so maybe this is better for now, but we'll cut through here. Start heading back. We can see the we can see a city tile and the face of his frontier, and that's all we really need to start with. As far as next objective militarily, I guess it's just going to be defend, you know, the homeland. So we'll split out a couple of workers before, or warriors before the next settler, or something along those lines, because we did like stretch our military out to, oh, look at this, we did stretch our military out to make this happen sooner, and I don't want to get punished for that. So settlers coming down, we gotta stay safe. He doesn't have a military escort. We got the spearman here, but not only is he gonna get damaged here, but with this camp here, I don't know how healthy he's gonna need to stay to make sure this happens, but we'll radar each turn just to make sure everything remains on the up and up. Settler is out, so let's do this, make sure we get some growth going. And let's head into warrior. It says 4 turns, but it's actually going to be quicker because we're chopping this. And of course, I do want to get a caravan out sooner rather than later. That would actually equal happiness. This looks like it's a developed tile. I didn't pay attention when we were up there. Probably should have, but the caravan would basically be instant happiness, and then of course we could follow the caravan with a settler here just to help make sure the caravan was somewhat protected, which we can also do with military units. Okay. So now it might be time to start cutting back through the fog, keeping in mind that there is a barbarian camp here, so we don't want to get our progress tangled up too much, especially since we already are damaged. And I'll have him head over to the west and heal up in Shanghai, since Beijing's about to have its own warrior. In fact, we'll finish up these tiles now, and that'll be really great. Seeks a great profit. Well, I don't think that's in the chips for us, but let's see. So if he's coming over here, where would the archer go? Probably, you know what? I should have been heading in this direction anyways. Between this camp and the fact that he's weakened, and this is, yep, last turn I should have. All right, and this is actually the reason why I cut the videos off at the half-hour mark, because if I would have been thinking about all that, instead of moving here last turn, I would have moved here, and now my archer would be here, and obviously that'd be way better under our current operations. But the longer I sit in a single sitting, the more I lose track of the meta game, so to speak. Alright, so there's somebody here, and for that reason I wouldn't want to come up on the hill just yet. Or maybe I do, because then I'll at least be defended. Gosh, that's risky. Okay, it's just... The reason I chose to is because last we knew there was an archer, and this... He can shoot us and we'll still totally crush him. Yeah, it's saying major victory right now. We'll be a little damaged from his shot, but even if we have to two-shot him, it should be a way to make good on that. Man, that's really embarrassing, the archer not pathing down here. That's so obvious in retrospect. Okay, and the workers did finish up their thing. I meant to do that manually. I was so devastated by my decision. Okay. So he's just going to keep on scouting. We can mostly see this, so maybe cut through here. If it turns out to be too much of a detour, we'll come back. We got to think of the production. Got to think of where these guys are going. So, like, he's coming over here, obviously. We're about to go to 3 pop, and I don't have any developed tiles in this city. And this is part of the reason why I was willing to entertain not going for the policy worker right away. Wow, that seemed to actually hurt a bit. It's okay, we'll win overall. Oh, nice. We actually won all the way. I would like... Actually, the worker... Yeah, we'll do the sugar first, just to get it online a little bit quicker. And then once the sugar's online, we'll have 2 copies. And maybe get to trade it away. So the question here is, number 1, where would this warrior go? Probably just hang out in Beijing. It looks like over here is going to be fine. So let's come here just because that allows us to cross the river back. Now the question is, do I build another warrior or do I build a caravan just because they have a quest and we're already friendly with them? The combination of the two means we'll be able to get easy ally, and this fur will be helpful. Yeah, because the happiness of that fur will allow us to build the settlers quicker. And this is part of the reason why I don't want to build cities too quickly, because he tends to be aggressive anyways, and the fact that we're going to settle Lake Victoria, he's not going to be happy. If he sees us just going city, 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 not committing to any military, he might just try and take this city. So there's a delicate balance between expanding and having the military to export that expanding. Right now we have 3 melee and 1 archer, and we would probably build a settler after the caravan. If we built a caravan now. We could build a settler now, but we're actually 3 off of growth, so I don't think that's the way to go. And the problem is if we do caravan now and then settler, like that's a long time before our next military unit. How long would it take to build 1 more warrior? 3, and then we grow in 3. And then settler would take, 6 turns or less based on our tile developments. So I think we can get a caravan here in a timely fashion. Oh, the other thing to consider is that not only would a caravan give us gold and happiness, but faith, more faith. So that might be a reason to go that route too. Basically it comes down to, if I build a caravan now and then a settler, like this is all the military we're going to have for a bit. 1 melee per city and an archer that is very mobile and can float. That's not a bad setup. So let's chance it. I mean, we're going all out here. Let's chance it. I just really regret the bad decision I made with my archer pathing, because if I had made a better decision, maybe it would be easier to heal. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Alright, let's take our promotion. Who grew Shanghai? And you know what? I think peace treaty expired. Okay. So now we get our policy worker, and we're going to have masonry in 2 turns, which means we'll be able to start clearing this. To move into the swamp would take a whole turn, so I would put like maybe a turn in on a farm here and then move in. It might be worth getting this guy a little bit of support just to get this city off the ground a little bit better, because we're already working a tile that's not to food, and that's a problem. Oh, well, that was a short detour. Okay, so he's coming over. And we probably will work the sugar first, so I'll just move him over here for visibility's sake. We should be fine for the time being. So let's heal this guy up, actually, because the fact that we're counting on him to be the backbone for the moment is pretty big. He's healing. He's chilling. Alright, let's just put 1 turn on a farm and then move into the swamp so that by the time masonry is online we can just start clearing right away. Heal, sit tight, heal, get ready to settle, get ready to develop. Heal. Okay, that was a quick turn. Hey, hey, looks like a barbarian, but we're about to create a bombard point. And the settling of the city for the moment does put us in unhappiness, so let's go adjust all of our tiles to be more production focused. We actually grew in this city as well. That's why it's 2 unhappiness, not just the 1. This is a good tile, and because we're in happiness, the 2 gold's going to be worth, because obviously food's penalized a lot more than production or gold. So, oh, whoops, I missed a city. Yep, this will be the better tile for the time being. In fact, well, how soon are we to, yeah, okay. For the moment, this is the better configuration, but he's about to put a hammer there. Oh, that's actually starvation. Okay, so never mind. It's got to be that way. No problem. Bratislava desires a trade route. And that would be culture. I would send a trade route here first, just because of the, we're already friends, and we'll get the furs right away. That culture is very tempting, though. So, let's see here. The ability to build archers would be good. The ability, what's our border growth like? 10 turns until border growth, and because we're on strategic balance, we do know there's going to be iron somewhere in like one of these hills. So if I take iron working before that border growth, we'll probably grow into that border, because the sugar still has swamp, or yeah. We could do archery first and then bronze working, because we'd still have the iron in place. And then we could build archers. Still want at least, yeah, a couple more warriors actually. I might have made a mistake not building more warriors sooner. Alternatively, we could take, no, that's not a good idea. We do want a second trade route, but we got more pressing matters, I think. So let's do that, and he could kill it right now, but there's presumably an archer here, unless whatever spawned here inspired this archer to take off. There's no need to. Let's heal up. Our military stretched thin as it is. The bombard will take care of this, and since our workers going to be working on this side for the time being, yeah, that's the way to go, I think, for now. I'll cut through here, start heading. Got a new neighbor. Alright, Archer is fully healed. So I'm thinking maybe get some visibility up here since we're about to send a caravan that way. This warrior, let's just come down here for a little bit of visibility. Nothing to see. Alright, so next turn we'll have our happiness squared away. And at that point maybe I will take out this archer simply because we're now going to want our citizen to work the food tile. So let's see, this would be the way we would have that. This is the way we would have that. this is the way we would have that. Sit tight. Visibility. He's already can see stuff. Okay, that's good visibility. Heal up the rest of the way. Meet a new trade partner who doesn't actually want any of our stuff and doesn't even have writing. Wait a minute, what is Nebuchadnezzar doing without writing already researched? Doesn't he know he wins the game just by researching writing? Okay. I'll go ahead and switch the tile assignment there just because this is the one that's going to, of all the one food, one hammer tiles, this is the one that's going to get developed first. So, in fact, I think this worker would be better served coming here and putting food down before putting a hammer up here. We need to keep growing. Right, so we should be able to step here, see that the camp is still in place. So that means Poland didn't go after, and that's fine. We'll take it out. It might actually be a little too soon for another worker. Actually, coming up here gives us that visibility. Okay, he's damaged, so maybe Poland is heading this way. Maybe I scoop him? I don't know. We'll see how that goes. So bam, there's a hammer. That expedites the paper maker. Very good. I don't want to step up here because the roughage, it would be hard to get back. But that's actually a good tile to hang out on as far as that goes. This is done, so masonry we could come down here. And I think that's a good idea. Alright, not bad, not bad. I'm mostly happy with this visibility. I don't want to get too far away from our cities. The only tile that would be a problem would actually be this one. So we can step down and step up. We'll just do that little jog for now. And right now it says we're at the end of turn 52. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this video here because if I'm not mistaken, 52 was the point in the game where the original series has stopped. So this will literally be a direct replacement of everything I've published thus far, which will give us the best apples to apples comparison. We have 3 cities, total of 9 citizens. We have 15 science per turn, and we're a turn away from finishing archery. So yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you so much for your patience. Like, the fact that I would reboot right after we just had a failed series might even be in poor taste, but I'm telling you that tip about going the policy route or the settler route first, the more I thought of it, like my mind, I'm kind of like Dr. House in that I love puzzles. Like once I get a question mark in my mind just goes balls to the wall about it. In fact, last night when I was thinking about it, I was actually really frustrated. I hadn't got the best sleep the night before, so I was actually in a grumpy mood and I couldn't figure out why. And the more I thought about it, it was like, oh man, I've got this series and I'm working hard on it, and somebody just got me this tip that would give it so much better. Like, I didn't know what to do, and in the end I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to reboot it. We're right at the beginning. Hopefully people will understand, because I think it's a very interesting comparison. What happens if you go this route? What happens if you go that route? I think it's pretty clear we're already off to a better foot. Making the caravan here rather than another warrior might be a problem. That's more like my old style of playing, whereas more recently I'm trying to get more into having a pronounced military. But we'll see how it goes. Anyways, you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.